Hey, good evening again to everyone, and welcome to our department's alumni sharing session. Okay, first of all, I'll just go through the program really quickly. We'll start with a quick welcome, followed by a sharing by our alumni, Mr. Alvin and Mr. Gabriel. Then we'll follow up with a Q&A, and then feedback and evaluation. So here are alumni speakers for today. First, we have Mr. Alvin Ang, Executive Director of Chemical Insights at S&P Global. And we have Mr. Gabriel Ho, founder and CSO of Asia Sustainable Aviation Fuel Association. Then during our Q&A and discussion, if you want to ask any questions live, please set your name to the name you sign up with and use the raise hand function under reactions and unmute yourself when it's your turn to ask. For any questions that you have during the presentation, please use the Q&A function. The chat has been locked, so use the Q&A function. We have our senior lecturer, Dr. Suraj here, and representing the admin department, myself and Miss May, to answer your questions during the anytime during the presentation or the Q&A. Okay, without further ado, I'll pass my time on to our alumni speaker, Mr. Alvin Ang, for sharing.
Oh, yeah, we didn't arrange whether Gabriel will speak first or I speak first, but I guess since you call me, so in general, I think the idea of this session is just to give a discussion on how the chemical engineering background led to my career now. So we are just going to be short about it. We The name itself say chemical engineering, and my role itself, you also see that it's chemical insights. So the relevance is clear in that sense. But of course, what we learn in chemical engineering goes way beyond just chemistry, chemicals. Even in my chemical insights, we deal a lot with the plastics. And it's Gabriel also. We are in the same course. He's doing the fuels. So it is just for convenience or for the just being succinct, right? We call ourselves the chemical engineering, chemical insights. But the world of coverage in our space is very wide, and it's just that chemistry itself is involved in so many different areas. It is kind of exciting if you take on chemical engineering versus other kind of engineering, in the sense that yeah, it's something more applicable to your daily life, what you can tell your, at least my children, I have three kids, it's something more relatable. I'm not saying the other engineers are not good, it's just that I find myself being able to relate to people that I meet, to you, in the things that I cover, the markets that I cover, the different areas that we have exposed to in the 4 years of engineering. It is also not limited to just the chemical engineering modules, which is denoted by the C and some sort of C. You are also free to take on business module, which I loaded myself a lot, even on entrepreneurship once, and I ended up with a minor in technopreneurship. So in that sense, sometimes when you say you pick a major, it doesn't limit you to explore your other interests, your side interests. When we say chemical insights in the role that I have in the department, the division that I'm in now, chemical insights, it doesn't just deal with the technology aspects of what we have learned from engineering, but it involves the business considerations, the market supply, demand, uh, how what the US president says impact changes the whole world that we live in. These are supported by the modules that I took on other than the engineering ones. So I think Gabriel will also share a lot of this different combination flexibility offered even during our time. I heard from Prof that you are given now even more liberty to even have exchange, have dual degree. So that is from my part, just to share that even from my days, which is like more than about 20 years ago, we're already given that flexibility to get into my current role, which is not engineering, but more on the business side of things. Yeah, Gabriel would like to take over.
Sure. Yeah, really, I hope everyone's having a good evening right now. If you want to turn your cameras on, it's great that we can see you. I just, again, some background about myself. I graduated from NUS, chemical engineering back in 2005. So right now it's like, wow, almost 20, 21 years, right? It's been a long time. I just really say like, I'm very grateful I really took chemical engineering. I could have studied something else, I guess, like, we will looking at all all different kind of modules and courses and options. But really, I think chemical engineering has changed a lot. The world has changed a lot. But really, I think the skills that kind of we took home in a sense, it wasn't just the math or the, you know, chemistry or long equations or the labs. It's really kind of problem solving skills are quite underrated. So odds on, if you do take up chemical engineering, you'll be faced with similarly complex challenges on paper and how to convert them into real life applications, right? In other words, how can you, again, in those days, we build a oil refinery, build a petrochemical complex. And today's context is actually even much more exciting because you're going to use the same skills, you're going to apply that in new projects, new technologies that have not been done before. As you can see, I lead the Asia South Association. Just briefly, if you fly today on the plane out of Changi Airport, chances are, you're gonna have like, very nice, comfortable flight. It's powered really 100% with fossil jet fuel, comes from crude oil. It's probably made at the local refinery here in Singapore. But things are changing because we want to defossilize, we want to move away to low carbon solutions. And the idea is really we can make, jet fuel from not only crude oil, we can make from biomass, we can make from synthetic, or we can make from carbon dioxide. But this is a really, really new technology. We can't do it at scale, and hence we have lots of technical, commercial, and even policy challenges we have in our whole lifetime to deal with, really. That's what makes it so exciting. You're really trying to do something for sustainability or something to really, let's say, contribute to the change of future generations to come. So I stress that again, chemical engineering, what you learn again in the textbooks, even if you join it today, it might not be so relevant, but you have to keep on learning. And even so with the AI, it's ongoing. I think many of you use AI, using chat, using all kinds of tools, but that's just really something to kind of, I guess, fast track your learning. It cannot replace the problem solving skills, the, I guess, connect the dots and just understanding the connection between the technical fields, the commercial fields, which Alvin looks at a lot, pricing, market, demand signals, and really just real world, applications. And I think we just really have to stress that again, we love our jobs really. And I guess we, as Alvin, we met I think last month or something where we were just chatting and we do understand that there are seemingly more attractive so-called career option or well study or undergraduate options out there. Everybody wants to study AI, and all that. But we stress that it's a bit underrated right now, chemical engineering, because it's really preparing yourself to be part of the future conversation or the current conversation to how to transit from a very fossil-based, society to a renewable new energy society. This transition and encourage you to kind of probe a bit deeper because there's lots of, I guess, content out there. You can even go on YouTube, but really try to discover a bit more about, chemical engineering is more than just oil and gas. It's more than just petrochemicals, even more than just pharmaceuticals here in Singapore. It's a lot bigger than that right now. So maybe back to the NUS team, really, to kind of guide us through this session.
Okay, so thank
Mm.
you both of the speakers for your insights. For the participants in this call, do you have any questions for our speakers or anything about the chemical engineering industry in general? And feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the Q&A function.
While waiting for the questions to come in, I just want to comment that we talk about petrochemicals, we talk about renewables, chemicals and plastics will still be around in our scenario. Maybe for another next 30 to 50 years, still be growing. So maybe the growth it will be slower if you have more recycled plastics, more recycling facilities. But the growth in the virgin plastics, that means the plastics that are made from the refineries to the end products still be growing. We have a lot of regions and population that are still looking to upgrade their life, having higher income, and they want they deserve what the West or developed countries have been enjoying. Uh, Maybe they have to be more responsible in terms of their consumption, but the population is overwhelming more than what the developed world has seen. So the demand is still there. You can't just replace everything
Mm.
with metals, aluminum, paper. It's just unsustainable on its own if you just do 100% switch. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say is that there's still relevance in what you learn for the next 30, 50 years. Beyond that, yeah, no visibility, and I don't think we will need to work that long.
No, I think we just also want to touch a bit about our personal careers. I really started as a chemical engineer. I worked on several of the petrochemical complexes here in Singapore. We have this thing called Jurong Island, which is a bit of the worst kept secret, I think. I really again also really started, I guess, learning about again how production works, how this integrated as energy landscape between again the fuels, chemicals, and now new energy is all integrated, right? And I think that was my first 5 years of my career. Then I pivoted into a sales and marketing role, learning about how to sell products, sell chemicals, sell specialty chemicals. And again, I picked up again, guess this chance to take on more leadership responsibilities as a supervisor. I grew into a team leader to lead the P&L of various businesses across Asia Pacific. And I think this is where I also want to stress a bit more. If you do have a chance, from now till maybe 5, 10 years later, if you have a chance to go overseas, either through a student exchange program, a project, a work assignment, please grab the opportunity to go. I can only say that, don't just be too comfortable here in Singapore, and because there's such a big world out there and it's changing so rapidly. We joke about Trump, but he's a product of, I guess, the society, and maybe a very, very close society. You can see that's very damaging to, again, mankind almost, yeah. But I really urge you to kind of broaden horizons. Again, it's not really about even the grades in a way. Maybe professors will disagree. The grades are very important, but you need to be kind of really looking where you can play a bigger role as, a using Singapore as a hub. But then if you have again international experiences that you have lived and worked overseas, studied overseas, in some form or shape, this will really help you in your career and your own personal growth and development.
We have a question. Will chemical
Mm.
engineers be replaced by AI?
I can take that. Interestingly, no. This is something like, well, can lawyers be replaced by AI, accountants, and so on and so on, right? Truth be told, you can feed the heuristics, chemical engineering rules, and plant data into AI models and train them. There are companies that do that right now. I'm sure all the big oil majors are doing something similar. Um, but you see, being an engineer is more than just, knowing, I guess, what technically happens, right? As an engineer, actually, you lead so many challenges, right? It's a very time and very high pressure situation when something goes wrong in the plant, or vice versa, a project first of its kind, you got multiple challenges, you have don't have answers, right? These are all things that have not happened. I think yes, I think these AI models can kind of guide you in the right direction. They certainly help you to make faster decisions, but can it replace humans? No. but it's more like it's really helping you to kind of again pinpoint. You used to have maybe take 1 hour to figure things out. Maybe now you take 20 minutes. Yeah, I think that's really happening in the that's the expectation. It's not just engineers. If you're a business analyst, you are again the operations, all across society. Actually, you're expected to use AI tools to help you do your job better, right? Yeah. I don't know, Alvin, what do you think? Has AI changed your work so far?
Just a quick addition. Excuse me. Um, AI, like what Gabriel mentioned, of course, it will help us in our work. But most importantly is that our clients, our customers, they know that we are using and they expect us to use. So they are becoming more demanding. Of course, AI will continue, Gen AI will continue to improve its capabilities. But I think the overarching idea is that people will just become more demanding in terms of what they want from the service providers. So we are supposed to use the tools to deliver more. If it's just what the tools delivers, like ChatGPT, you ask a prompt or things like that, they need something else. So we are looking for what we can offer something else besides the what Gen AI can offer. And to us, it is also important that we look at how we can adapt our offerings. So if they have money, they have also Microsoft Copilot and all the other Gen AI tools that they have. For myself, I also use DeepSeek, even though we have corporate license to ChatGPT. But there's so many different, even within the Gen AI, there's so many different offerings. They need someone to have an oversight because they are, of course, at least for now, maybe you say they are prone to hallucination. Maybe in future they won't. But there's so much interaction, human interaction in this industry that Gen AI cannot have the ability to machine learn everything. It's not 100% public data. Even if you fit in private, all companies are selfish, right? We have our proprietary data. We're not going to release it to all the Gen AI. So we have our own internal resources. So
Yeah, we
eventually you
stress
still need
that.
some.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
definitely.
Go ahead.
Also, I think the point was, again, audio engineer, you're supposed to solve problems, but more importantly, you need to convince, yeah, the management, you need to convince the operations team, the supervisors all around you, right? That whatever you propose, whether it's to troubleshoot something or to build a new technology, you need to really have that ability to influence and to, influence others really. I think that's something that AI can't really do it for you. So I know everyone gets really excited about AI, but I think you need to kind of limit the fact that AI is not going to replace humans, yeah. Because it's really up to you to make that impact with people, make them believe in your recommendations, and that's where you will succeed really. Whether you're engineer, whether you're a business analyst, it's not just a sales function, which I think sometimes we neglect, right? Engineers kind of get so fixated with the numbers, because the best engineers may not know all the solutions. They're not the smartest person in the room, right? But they want to be able to kind of, get everyone to come together and make that decision. Yeah.
Thank you. We have another question.
Hmm.
How is a job in the biopharma industry like?
Biopharma. Is it different from
I have no idea.
pharma? Sorry,
It
sorry.
is pharma, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
we could be
okay, right.
asking how is the job in the pharma industry like? How do either of you have any background or idea about it? Yeah.
I have several friends who went on to join GSK, etc. Right? I think that's I don't know if we can compare it with. I know we only talk about chemicals, oil and gas. Um, I think the industry dynamics are quite different. Essentially, you're making, I guess, fine. Okay, the closest match is in the world. Sorry, I'll step back a bit.
Yeah.
There's oil and gas, there's bulk chemicals, there's plastics. These are all like millions and millions of tons.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go down the line to specialty chemicals. Then you probably talk
Mhm.
about hundreds of thousands of tons. Then you go to even lower, fine chemicals. Then maybe tens of thousands of tons, right? Then pharma is kind of even lower, right? So you're gonna deal with thousands of or hundreds of components or compounds, and I don't know if you can say. I know Alvin help me out here. Is it really different culturally? I don't think so, right?
No,
Yeah.
it's generally about the same as
Mm,
what you would see in oil and gas, or yeah, I would say it's more close to fine chemicals. Yeah.
mm,
And yeah, biopharma or pharmaceutical sector is like really what Mr. Gabriel said. His friends, quite a number of them, he said they joined GSK. In recent years, a lot of our students have been joining quite a number of these companies, GSK, Pfizer,
mm,
um, um, and it's not just pharma. They also joined this biotech industry, which is also represented by quite a lot of big names like Lonza, AbbVie, and so on. Yeah. So I would say the roles are, as in the engineering part is similar, but then the kind of processes you deal with will be different. As Mr. Gabriel was just saying, for like oil and gas, petrochemicals, all this is really huge amounts, and these are all typically continuous processes. But now when it goes to pharma, generally they are produced in small amounts. All these active pharmaceutical ingredients, it will be made in small batches. Yeah, and then quality control is extremely important. So these are some of the like small differences, but otherwise I would say yeah, it is quite similar. Yeah.
Just to add on, like Prof. Suraj mentioned about the active pharmaceutical ingredient, we call it API for short, right?
API, yeah.
They in the end they use chemicals like even chlorine, basic chemicals, as the feedstock or intermediate. So in the end, even though you may not be in the biopharma industry per se, but in other industry like petrochemicals or inorganics, eventually you're kind of serving the biopharma. And biopharma eventually you say if it comes out in the form of tablets, then you need the blister packaging, right? The aluminum foil, then the transparent thing is the plastic, which is
Yeah.
like PVC foil over it. So you can't run away from chemical engineering.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, yes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, there's a few other questions, but there's a follow-up from maybe the same student. Is
Yeah.
the pay good in pharma, and what is the range usually?
Yeah. I can add, and then maybe Gabriel and Alvin, if you have any insights. So basically, the pay should be about the similar range as what you earn in oil and gas, or chemicals or fine chemicals. And if you would like to check out the mean and median pay, I think that we can share the link. Should be around for a chemical engineering graduate 4.6. Yeah, I can't remember the exact figures, but it's definitely more than in the range of 4.5K or slightly higher than that. That's the latest data that we have from MOE. Yeah.
What salary is or compensation we like to call it in our industry, right? It's
Yeah.
very hard to discuss because it depends on the role that you eventually
Yes.
get
Yeah.
into the biopharma. You could
Yeah.
be sales and selling big volumes, or you can be the pharmacy, or it can be the engineers in the plant. So
Yeah.
all different role. Not saying that one role could be superior to the other. Depends on how you climb up the ladder as well, and whether you want to be the technical track or the managerial track. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what
But
Alvin's
then,
saying,
yeah.
if you do well, ultimately all roads lead to quite a similar pay range. But I would throw back the question to the person, what do they want out of the jobs, right? Is it take another just because it's $100 more, right?
Yeah.
And also to answer the question in the greater context, big picture, one of the skills maybe it's taught in school, but please take up accounting skills, read a financial balance sheet, income statement, a company report, quarterly earnings. Try to understand that. Pick a chemical company, a pharmaceutical company, pick some, you have to pick even AI company, whatever, right? Try to understand that, right? Then try to work backwards why companies are paying a bit more in this and why paying a bit less. And they all start to make a lot of sense, yeah. Yeah.
It may be a bit sidetracked, but I guess it's relevant for you eventually when you graduate. I've been interviewing interns, graduates, or entry level. I think the key thing that I'm looking for is that, like what Gabriel mentioned, right? If you say that you want to go into, let's say, my industry, analytics, and you say you have very strong interest, you look at the pay is good, but I'm looking at what you've been doing in the whole academic background, what CCA you join, what projects you're involved in, what internship you have been into before you graduate. And I see that you have no idea. You're just looking because it's analytics is well paying. It's a hot topic, big AI, big data, AI, and then you're coming to my company. Sorry, you're out. Even though you may be first class honors. Sorry, you're out.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, let's some of the interesting questions here, right? We're saying,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do the next one.
So which one shall we take, Coco?
There's a question
Hmm.
on, is a degree in chemical engineering still possible for me
Yeah.
to do
Okay.
if I'm not intending to work in plants or factories? I've also heard that chemical engineering is very versatile, which allows us to pivot into industries and roles like banking, finance, software engineering. Is that true?
It's very true, yeah. Hasn't changed.
Yes. It's
I think we've seen like people who choose, let's say they don't want to work in a chemical plant, they go join a bank. They There's so many options, right? I don't think there's any limit really. Yeah. Alvin,
Maybe just to add
it's
the
quite
flavor of
interesting,
the
right? Yeah. Yeah, just
interviewer
thinking
point of view
about
again.
what's the context, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, i- when I mean I'm in the chemical side, but in general, I think even the fuels, refinery departments, they are also looking for chemical engineering as much as possible. It's not so much of what you learn per se. It is important, but we're recognizing the rigor that you go through in the engineering course. It's kind of like you're tested. It's just like maybe in the soldiers, right? You say that nowadays we use missile and things like that, but why do we still train our body up? It's just to make sure that well, we have undergone the training and have the mental and physical capability to handle the job stress, the client pressures, things like that.
So there are a lot of options that you can go to if you do not like working in plants or the industry. So in fact, why am I here? Why am I teaching for all this 12 to 14 years now? That's because I don't like also. So I took chemical engineering and then I decided I'm not going to work in all those plants. And that's why I decided to do PhD. Yeah, and then be an academic. So this is also one more part. Even within companies like ExxonMobil, increasingly more of our graduates are going into commercial role. So they'll be doing like um, um, more data analytics and all that, and not really like doing the physical work in the refinery. So typically they'll be based in the harborfront office for if it is ExxonMobil. Yeah. And yeah, and the pay is all the same as well. Whether you whatever role, at least for ExxonMobil, what I know is
But
the pay is in
they
whichever role you join. Yeah. Maybe
since
just a
also,
bit plus minus. Yeah.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
again, I think it's important to get a message across, right?
Yeah.
I think look at very successful people, very polarizing by Elon Musk, right? He's actually a true blue engineer, right? He loves getting his hands dirty. He works in the factories. He's done it all his life, right? Coding, whatever
Yeah.
you call it, right? Even OpenAI, right? Sam Altman, maybe a bit more, let's say, popular. He's also done, well, not in a hard way, but he's a geek, right? At heart, right? He's like, that's what I'm trying to say, right? I think you should give a chance, give yourself a chance that if you do study chemical engineering, at least use your internship or something, right? To at least go work at the site, could be a pharmaceutical plant on Jurong Island. Let's just experience that, right? Then decide, yeah. Because these days the plans change so much. There's so much. The drones, they do the inspection, everything's modernized. You're hardly so-called, in the sun, right?
Yeah.
Hardship, right? Yeah. But you have to give yourself that exposure, right? Otherwise, I think you're doing it. You never know, you might actually like it, right? Yeah. And also don't say that you're going to do this 20 years, right? You need to understand that, if you really earn the stripes, yeah, we call it earn the stripes, right? And if you tell people you work in the plant, people look at you quite differently, yeah, later in your careers, yeah. Because you can empathize with the people and understand how the production, how challenging it is, and yeah, that gets you a long way, yeah. Just all these successful leaders.
True,
They
true.
work on the floor, right? In other words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a similar
Hmm.
question also. Everyone said
Okay.
Chem Eng is versatile and you can go into other industries like finance,
Hmm.
but how easy is it? Will we be disadvantaged or start with lower pay than those with a business degree? And will the career progression also be slow?
I can answer that. No, it's actually no, they don't. I mean, if you're going to join a bank or even a tech company, they don't look at your degree really. You get the job, right? The pay is independent of that qualification. Career progression might be slow. Again, same thing. You're going to start off from the same footing, right? It's a graduate program. They put you in the back office. It's all the same, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same, yeah. So
Mm-mm.
we do have quite a lot of our graduates who go into
Yeah, Goldman
finance,
Sachs. Yeah, there's so
banking.
many.
Yeah,
Yeah. For
yeah,
example.
yeah. So there's no differentiation at all. Yeah, it's just they need the degree and then what skill sets do you have? And of course, as Mr. Alvin Ang was mentioning earlier, the curriculum wise, you have a much more flexibility now compared to our times. So basically, you can, together with your chemical engineering major, you can plan what you want to do in terms of minor or second major. Yeah, so to prepare yourself for industries like if you want to go into finance, for example, yeah. So I think it's the overall degree itself that gives you the flexibility in terms of your career. Yeah.
Yeah, take note also that the companies that have the internal testing, so this company kind of like a series of IQ, English, the language, then the
Yeah.
math, and then some just different interview stages and different kind of tests. Could be on the spot, the scenario based, like a MBA style, things like that. So your whatever you learn is just the stepping stone to get in to get the interview. So
Yeah,
after that
that's a
they assess you
very
differently.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that's in the good old days there was this famous Shell recruitment day. I don't know if they still run it, but they really put you a lot of pressure. They assess you on your mental and I guess even leadership skills, right? One day they put you in leading groups and they assess you. And our scholarship system is based on that Shell recruitment day, really.
Oh.
Things have changed probably, but now,
Yeah.
yeah, they really want to identify from the get-go future leaders. The
Mm,
banks do the same, the tech companies do the same, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can move on to the next question.
Sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, what jobs do chemical engineers do in semicon companies?
Okay, let me first start by saying that semicon is the
Hmm.
top hiring sector for our graduates for the past in the past few several years. Yeah.
Hmm.
And typically the roles they enter into is like process engineer, control engineer. Yeah. So basically process engineer, that's the or manufacturing engineer. These are all the typical roles that our students enter into. Yeah. And yeah, maybe if Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Alvin Ang has any insights
I think
on
it's the
that.
perfect job if you don't want to be in the sun because
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
be actually in a clean room, right?
Yes.
Conditioned with aircon and you would wear a suit. I don't know if that's better or worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's the nature if you're really working in the semiconductor plant.
Yeah.
One thing I think we haven't really explained to maybe the audience is as much as you understand maybe now oil and gas chemicals, how they play out, I think you also need to understand business cycles. Alvin will allude to this, right? we are definitely seeing shorter, more volatile business cycles,
Yes.
and some industries are more susceptible to that business cycle, some are not. So in other words, let's say semiconductors kind of like probably more susceptible to business cycles. There've been stories like my friends who are in the industry, like, is this, let's say, a surplus of RAM, then they close maybe even stop the production line, the things like that happen really quickly. Whereas arguably even oil and gas, the cycles are bigger, but they are a bit more gentle, right? I know it's a bit hard to explain this. We could even run a course for
Yeah.
business cycles, but yeah, I think if the audience has a bit of just go up YouTube, right, and try to understand business cycle. Every industry has this business cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and semicon is definitely one of those that really will go up and go down. And now it's the next wave, the AI GPU boom, right? Yeah, I don't have anything to add. This is really good one, actually.
I
Semicon.
am not. I wasn't directly in the semicon, but I started
Mm,
my career as an R&D engineer, serving it's a packaging company serving the semicon industry. So they are looking for very sensitive, like electrostatic free or resistant packaging. So
mm,
it's not your NTUC plastic bag. They're looking very very very
yeah.
sensitive
The
application because
static kills the
let's
chips,
say
yeah? No way.
even
Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
static kill the chip or even
Yeah.
small level of humidity, right, 0.1%, 1%. Once it goes into the furnace or what, the bubble can become very big. So it's all very high value. So as a, of course they say that okay, many people go to the industry now. I think you probably get a good starting pay, but there's also a lot of responsibility because one batch is down is millions of dollars lost. So that's what our customer serving our customer is always a scary thing. But the margin is so much better than making shopping bags.
Yeah. Extreme. Okay, I see a really maybe important question, right? We should answer it, right? Do people in Singapore look down on engineering? I don't know if the participant would like to explain a bit more. Why would they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why do
I
you
think
think
this
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 way? Yeah.
yeah. I mean the jokes like last time my friends were like, oh, you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right?
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
My
I don't
parents
think
said
that's
I can
changed,
only
right?
be a
Yeah.
doctor or an engineer only. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, now the greatest challenges will need more and more engineering skills, right? And although you're a chemical engineer, you could be working on a variety of topics, yeah, because okay, this get a bit geeky. This AI stuff that you guys look at, you know how they came up with it? Lots and lots of mathematical equations, yeah. And why OpenAI cracked it? They got really smart people who know their equations, yeah. DeepSeek has published their so-called, well, secret or open source code and lots of equations. It's hardcore engineering stuff, right? I'll just leave it as that, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Since Gabriel, you choose a question, I also like to pick one question. There was one on the commodity trading and how easy is it to get in.
Oh wow, yeah.
Be more relevant to that. Yeah. Uh, Normally people do not, or companies do not just hire people right into commodity trading or as a trader per se. You start off as an analyst working for the trading
Mm.
team. Then they assess you. How good, how resourceful are you in gathering information? How well do you analyze and present? Because in as a role as in a role as a trader, you yourself need to understand what is being presented to you. There's no time to absorb all the information. You need somebody else to help you, and starting from an analyst, at least you understand how the material was prepared for you. And then you go about doing it. And now it's super challenging with big market movement every day, every night. You wake up, the whole market is changed. When you talk about trading, it's not just about the commodity itself. You have to deal with the vessels, right? From one port to another port. So many things happen. Can be geopolitical tension, can be a war, a missile hit some vessel, and then you your entire cargo, which is worth millions of dollars, gone. How you going to? It's a lot of variables. It's not that it's good pay, very fun if you like excitement, but you don't go into the role overnight, and they don't entrust you with lots of money overnight as well. Sometimes you start small, simple products, and then you build up. But whether chemical engineering per se helps you in the role is I would say it's more of what I mentioned earlier in the interview. We look at you having the rigor of the chemical engineering course versus some business administration degree. Not saying
Yeah.
not looking down on any other degrees, but it's just that you're trained for different things. 3 to 4 years you're trained in different things. Chemical engineering, we have worked in the lab with things can explode. I burned my thumb before, so we kind of learn how to react, respond. It's all sorts of training. Business marketing. I mean, I did a lot of business module as well, right? There's no time pressure. There's no lab work on marketing. This will be a scenario where you discuss in class. You don't lose millions of dollars from that. You don't lose your thumb from the tutorial class. So
Yeah,
it's quite
that's very
different.
true. In fact, what you said relates to another question that was just I saw here that was asked. Um, um, would Mr. Gabriel like to add on? Yeah.
Is it the same question or something else? Sorry.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
is it easier to get into commodity trading through business than chemical engineering? So I think Alvin
I
just answered that. Yeah.
I tend to agree with what Elvin just said, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, if you want to be a trader, then you better understand markets, you better understand finance, economics, energy. You need to know all this, right? At the bare minimum, right? Uh, yeah. So I don't think it really matters if you study business or chemical engineering. You need to know really the
Yeah.
markets. Yeah, yeah. I think we got a couple of related questions here, right? What's a day,
At work like
at work, and I know it's going to be a bit long, but I would urge that no matter where you go, even you're going to study 4 years, 3 years, doesn't matter. Don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to get a mentor. I think this can greatly help you in your job, in your career. It doesn't have to be someone. It shouldn't be a direct supervisor, boss, manager. It should be again maybe another manager, another director from the department. I know a lot of companies are starting to have that so-called mentorship programs happening, but if you don't have this chance, don't be shy to walk up to senior leaders to say like, I just want to learn more of what you've been through. So that it really helps me in my career to make better choices and avoid some mistakes, right? I wish I knew that when I was younger, in my early 20s, so-called, right? When I started my first job, to get a mentor ASAP, that would really help me, to absorb the experience without me suffering the pain of making mistakes, of dealing with, difficult situations. And, I can go on and on, right? But I think that's one advice. And how the day in the work, it's going to be very dynamic, right? It's again, whether you work in the plant, you work in, again, a business analyst. I think you can do your job well. Again, maybe expectations, it's like within 3 months, you're already up and running a bit. You in a steep learning curve everywhere you go these days. But I think it's the second point beyond mentor, you need to learn how to network. And it's not just within a company to know people, but also to network within the industry, go for events, and build that circle, right? That can rely on. Because when the time you need it, it's your network that's going to help you, right? Whether you want to find a new job, you're going to start your own even startup or something, it's a network that really matters. Yeah. Alvin, I think that's
Yeah, I just take a quick one
mm,
on the question about because it's a common misconception, right? We are taking chemical engineering, but people take it like we are very strong in chemistry, like we do a
yeah.
lot of lab work on chemistry. But
Yeah.
it's very common, and I experienced it in my first career itself. But that's fine because in the end, or it may look like a disadvantage, but it's actually a very uh, advantage for us because it widen our jobs
Yeah.
availability or yeah, so for me when I was in R&D yeah they assumed that I'm very good at chemistry, so I was working on the formulation But from R&D stage, I've moved on to the pilot stage and eventually commercial scale. So I spent a lot of time in the Malaysia plant. Singapore was too small to set up a huge commercial scale. At that time, in my packaging, it was looking on some humidity indication. So you use some formulation, liquid-based formulation. I did do it in Malaysia. I sourced equipment from China, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and that was 2009 before China was really opening up. So that's when you learn the hard way about shear. It's very viscous, very thick liquid. All sorts of engineering terms come in, and then you have to work it out with the equipment supplier. So it doesn't matter, right? If they didn't mistaken me for a chemistry expert, I probably would have the job.
I think we should also address, I think, coming to Sean about oil and gas is said to be a sunset industry. Do
Yes.
chemical engineers have future renewable sources? Is there potential for such an industry locally in Singapore? Maybe, Professor, you want to say something about this? This is quite close to your hearts, right? About renewables and s- professors, do you want to say something? Sorry, about
Yeah,
this one?
sure.
Yeah.
My internet connection got disrupted. Yeah.
Mm,
So we were on this question on sunset industry.
mm. Yep,
Is
that's
it?
right.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So I think Mr. Alvin Ang already made it very he brought across this very important point that no matter what, for the next 20, 30, even 40 years, it's still going to stay. Do we have the complete replacement for fossil fuels yet? We are working on renewable sources and other sources, but then the thing is the reliance on fossil fuels is at least going to stay for the next few decades. And besides that, who are the ones going to propose all these solutions to the world's problems today, including this renewable energy? It is chemical engineers. So you see that in terms of the degree, it is still very much relevant. And yeah, I would say it's not really true that oil and gas is a sunset industry. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly the second part was is there potential for such an industry locally in Singapore.
Yes.
Already,
Yeah.
we have the world's biggest
Yes.
so-called biofuels plant at the Neste here in Tuas in Singapore, 2.6 million tons. Just news today, a Chinese company is setting up a biodiesel plant, a large one as well, opening up
Mm.
at the end of the year to serve the marine industry. For those, again, the audience here, if you look outside window, you see a lot of ships. All the ships are coming to Singapore. Yes, they unload cargo and the containers, but more importantly, they're refueling the ships, right? Singapore is the biggest marine terminal in the world, right? Bunkering terminal in the world. We serve 52, 53 million tons of bunker fuel in the world. It's like it's huge. It's 20% of the global demand or 25, right? Depends who you ask. And already in that sector, there's need to be replacement molecules from regular fossil fuel like green methanol, bio LNG, bio bunkers, biodiesel, etc., etc. So there are plenty of opportunities. I just encourage you to kind of probe a bit harder, right? In aviation, same thing. Next year, Changi Airport will start putting in SAF 1% to all flights coming out of Singapore Airport. Changi Airport, they're going to buy again the SAF from Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore. There's plenty of opportunities, right? And just don't think linearly. I'm just saying because it's moving faster than and if we can send you some news sources, right, to kind of point you in the right direction. That if there's a particular industry you want to start learning already, if it's again about oil and gas, about aviation, about transportation, marine, you can read those industry journals. They're free. Oh, no, sorry, in industry news portals, they're free, right? And you realize there's so much happening that's not covered in the China News Asia or Straits Times, right? Or TikTok. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I get carried away now.
Yeah, just like to add quickly, right? Sometimes we look at the very rosy part of the equation, like okay, sustainability, renewables, but then look at what's happening now. I mean, the US was the biggest proponent, and then they are moving away. And even China talk about peak carbon emission, but the coal production was the highest, or coal capacity was the highest last year. Because even you want to go to renewable solar, wind, you need a backup plan, which is coal, which is a very reliable one. Anytime you need something and the sun is not shining, the wind is not blowing, coal is there to support. Otherwise, uh, you recall the news, 2021, the lifts, elevators, people were trapped in there because they were so concerned about the targets, reaching the targets, and they went beyond the target. So they were cutting down indiscriminately the energy consumption. People were trapped in the lifts. Industry were shut, and then it affected the economy. So sometimes we look at too rosy part, but we have to be practical. Are people willing to pay for all the renewables, all the bio-based plastics? Eventually, there'll be people who wants, but there'll be also many parts of the population where they need to survive, they deserve to their quality of life. It will come, but it's always a phase. They will allow them, maybe okay, for next 10 years you're allowed to use it. Maybe you have to do a transition. It takes a long time. I just want to say that.
Yeah. Mm. Moving on, there's this question from Yong Wei Ang and one more participant on overseas opportunities, job prospects for chemical engineering major overseas. So any thoughts on that? Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry,
What are the job prospects for chemical engineering major overseas? Yeah. So
again, maybe in my time there were opportunities to
nothing.
go on. Hang on.
Yeah.
So, okay, the context is if you're gonna work for a big MNC, multinational, chances on you're gonna be sent overseas to the headquarters
Yes.
to either work in the R&D, in the labs, in the major global production plant. That's gonna happen, right? Yeah. So there may be long-term assignments, short-term projects. There's just plenty of opportunities overseas, right? If that's the answer, really.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
GSK used to send. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they still send. Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
used to send on this program where yeah, quite a number of our graduates spent 2 years or so in Europe. Yeah. And besides that, besides those MNCs which send you overseas for a certain period of time, we also see students who are like directly employed overseas. Like the most recent example I can give is TSMC. Yeah. So
Mm.
they are, at least I personally know that two of our graduates last year and two of our graduates this year are going to Taiwan. Yeah, two are already there in Taiwan and two are going this year. Yeah. So there are opportunities overseas as well. Yeah. It all depends on how well you are able to source for these openings. Yeah.
I mean, the petrochemicals, so I talk about Middle East, they have a lot of
Middle East, yes. Yeah.
plants, and they don't have a big population.
Yes.
Just talking about Saudi Arabia, the Abu Dhabi, and they are making use of their natural resources, the oil, instead of just exporting out. They want to get value add, so they are building petrochemical plants, plastics production. They need people to run them. Their local population is really small compared to what they are trying to achieve. Uh, the only issue is that you tend to be based there for quite some time. Uh, and yeah, so try to do it early, try to do it young, because along the way, I have a few opportunities, but there's always like, oh, maybe want to stay with my family, or after that, I have my
Yeah.
kids. Then my kids are going to school, the Singapore school. I thought I want to keep them there to learn Chinese, learn Mandarin. Then a lot of consideration. In the end, I didn't take on any of these roles, but it's always available to you, but depending on
Yeah.
your circumstances as well, whether your preference, would you like to be staying in Saudi Arabia for 2 or 3 years, coming back only maybe two or 3 months each time, or even 6 months once? Up to you.
Yeah. maybe in the interest of time, we will just take one last question, Coco. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we will take this from Dri Tia. Yeah. What skills do you think are essential for success in the chemical engineering industry? Yeah. Skills that you think are essential for succeeding in the chemical engineering industry.
I would say a curious mind, especially these days. Everything is changing so quickly. And curiosity is not only in technical matters, engineering matters, right? Or chemistry. I think you need to be curious how the interaction is a straight, stress so much from crude oil, chemicals, again, how the world works, how things are transported, how the even electric grid comes along. I think all these things should be something you want to look at because it's changing so quickly. I stress that. And then I think about the mentor, I mentioned it already. Get the guidance that you need because it is also a complex and confusing and stressful world out there at these times. Um, there'll be people who want to help you. Don't be discouraged. And I think last one is about, I guess, setbacks, right? I think it's a general one. It's not the chemical engineers, but in Singapore, we tend not to get too many setbacks. Um, Truth be told, there will be setbacks, meaning like you apply for 10 jobs, you don't get even one call, one interview chance, right? I think you should expect to apply for 50 jobs and not get one interview. And it's really not, again, not because you're not so good, but you need to take it as stride to kind of reflect, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I do better? And the last thing one is a bit more practical. Beyond all that, LinkedIn, I know it's a bit uh wishy-washy sometimes for young people, but try to do up your LinkedIn profile already. The companies want to look at that. If it's something strong to highlight, interest, a passion, make it visible on your profile. Do a nice photo in your LinkedIn profile. Write some sensible stuff. I think that will be something that you want to kind of cultivate. Is back to the networks that you really grow your so-called online persona as well as your real person persona. Yeah.
Yeah, three quick points for me. One is that even though we have a lot of the Gen AI, ChatGPT, and all that, but don't let those tools take away your thinking ability. Just like we have cars, we have motorbikes, but you still need to do jogging, right? Need to keep your legs active. Second is that a bit like what Gabriel mentioned. We like in our interviews, how differentiate one candidate to another is looking at what they have what activities they have done, what internship and side jobs, or even it could be I've been seeing a rising number of people who create startups during the uni days. It may not be big, but it's just get the momentum going, the thinking going. It's all these things that can differentiate you from one candidate to another, from one first class to another first class, from one even you can be third class, but we see how you have trying to manage your
Mm.
non-academic life, and that will help. Third point is the presentation skills is very important if you want to get good salary, want to get good progress in your career. I think I started quite late in terms of presentation. I'm still learning, but it is required now. People do want to see you present what you know. If I just want knowledge, I can just go to ChatGPT and key in my question. But I want to see you deliver. People want to see us deliver in a passionate way, the way we can interpret for them. Not you ask the ChatGPT explaining to me like I'm five, but they would like to see that you understand you experience it, you encounter the situation, your like what Miguel mentioned, although you start as an engineer, the difficulties that you encountered, your life story, incorporate into that. ChatGPT doesn't have a life story.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you to our alumni speakers. Unfortunately, we are not able to take any more questions due to the interest of time. So sorry
We have
about that.
we have tried to answer most questions by typing out the answers. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have
We have already done it. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. But if you have any further questions, you can email us. I'll send the email in the general chat. chbeug@nus.edu.sg. You can ask us anytime. if you
Yeah,
have any further questions after
I think
this.
you can find Alvin and myself on LinkedIn as well. You can add us there and you can just send us messages. We're fine, really.
Sure,
We're good to hear
that's
from you.
so kind of you. Thank you so much.
Before we end, can you help us to do a quick feedback form? This will help us improve our future iterations of this program for your juniors. Okay, just scan the QR code and let us know. I hope everyone has scanned the QR code. Okay, I think we can end the session. I've already received some
Yeah.
feedback from the
Okay.
participants in this call.
So yeah, we do hope that this session gave you an idea of the future direction of our program as well as the related industries. Yeah. And let's thank the speakers once again and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Hope to see you in August.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
weekend.
you.
Thank you, Gabriel and
Bye.
Owen. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
See
Bye.
you again soon. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.